Hello, welcome to Culture Vultures. I'm Sandy Frye, your host. Our creative producer is Nancy Cole, and this program examines the arts and culture all around Tampa Bay. And we have two distinguished guests today. George Martinez, who is the chairman of the Barranquilla Committee in the Sister Cities of Tampa, and Joanne Milani, who is the first executive director of the Florida Museum of Photographic Arts, and who is now on the board and has had a significant role to play in the current exhibition. And they are different and very interesting. George, I know that in 1956, the president, then Dwight Eisenhower, put forth the idea of citizen-to-citizen diplomacy by having sister cities. It was embraced, really, and in 10 years it became international. And by now I think there's something like 136 countries involved and 2,000 people, and it has grown significantly. And it can't be thought of as anything but a success in getting to know and finding commonalities between the American cities and what foreign cities there are. And Tampa has many cities.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
yes,
please tell me about them.
Sure, well, the idea behind, you're right, it was initiated by President Eisenhower, and he thought that relationships could flourish between cities and between the peoples of the United States, the citizens of the United States and others, and the citizens of the world through direct and personal contact through the Sister Cities program. Tampa in 1966 signed an agreement that the mayor of Tampa then sent a letter to the mayor of Barranquilla, Colombia, inviting the mayor there and the city to be sister cities. They didn't take that long to decide, and before you knew it, they became sister cities and have been since 1966.
Wow.
So we're very happy that that relationship has flourished on many ways, not only culture, but also through economic development, education. There are agreements between universities. For instance, the University of South Florida has an agreement with the Universidad del Norte of Barranquilla, a very big university, and there's hundreds and hundreds of students that go back and forth and take advantage of this relationship.
Oh, that's very interesting. And the cities, the towns themselves have commonalities in size.
By all means. That's the idea behind the Sister Cities program also, that the cities have share and have a lot in common. For instance, Barranquilla has a very big port, actually several ports, on a huge river that comes from the Andes, and the delta is in Barranquilla and it comes out to sea. Tampa has a beautiful, very effective big port. I think it's the biggest, and it is the biggest, and land-wise in the state. And both port officials have visited each other. Besides the ports, Barranquilla has a wonderful airport, and both cities have welcomed immigrants from many lands over the years with open arms. Tampa, the Italians, the Spanish, the Cubans, Barranquilla, the Syrian Lebanese, also some Germans, Italians, and of course Spanish, and Americans. The one thing that Barranquilla always has had is an affinity for the United States. For instance, baseball. In a land where soccer is a king sport, baseball is very big in Barranquilla.
Oh, in South America, generally, they're sending up some very good athletes.
Well, only northern South America,
yeah,
you know.
That's right. That's right.
Colombia, Venezuela, Panama are the ones that have sent players here and done very well in the major leagues. So through sports is also relationships between cities. And of course, very important, I know it's very important to the mayor of this city, is to develop more and more economic ties, business ties between the sister cities,
Yeah.
Tampa sister cities and Tampa.
Right, right. Well, that brings us to the show. Describe the Barranquilla Art Show.
Yes, this is an art exhibition that we started on this project a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Or it's been a year and a half now. And it was very difficult, but against all odds, we persevere. There are about, I would say, close to 48, 50 works of art, contemporary art. And the majority of the artists are young, which is very nice, as there a variety of art. There are watercolors, there's wood sculptures, sculptures in metal, of course paintings, photography, especially one piece that I fell in love the minute I saw it. Saw a photograph of it on the internet, and then I didn't see in this piece something in the tree. There's a big tree in the jungle, and at the bottom of the tree there's this big leaves sprouting out. I thought that's the way it was.
Yeah.
But I never noticed that there was a woman inside that, and she was just
Crouching?
Yeah, she was just sitting there, and when I saw the piece at the art gallery, I saw the woman, and I said, "Oh my goodness, there's someone in the tree!"
That's funny.
It was a wonderful surprise.
That's wonderful.
It's a fabulous piece. We are very fortunate that the mayor of Barranquilla is going to be visiting the exhibition, but primarily visiting Mayor Bob Buckhorn. The two met last year when Mayor Buckhorn visited Barranquilla for the first time, when he led a delegation of business leaders to Barranquilla to seek more
Closer
trade
ties. Yeah.
and more commerce and business ties between the two cities, and it went very, very well. So the mayor of Barranquilla is coming to visit Mayor Buckhorn with her delegation.
He's very hard to resist, the mayor. And if you ever were thinking of sending an exhibition of Tampa back, something that tells the citizens of Barranquilla what Tampa is like, Joanne, your exhibit probably would fit in extremely well. What are you calling the exhibit? I know you work with Mr. Hall, and it tells the tale or the development of this city.
Well, the name of the show is Gangsters,
Gangsters.
Pirates, and Cigars.
Well, they did have a part, didn't they?
Yes.
That's true.
Well, David Hall and myself have worked almost a year on this, on pulling together this show. And I have to say that probably more than 100 photographs from the show come from the University of South Florida Special Collection. Mostly the Tony Pizzo collection, because he was a great collector of this. And also about a dozen photographs from the Tampa Bay History Center, and also about a dozen from the Tampa Tribune file.
Oh, yeah.
So we covered some ground with this.
You do, and there are quite a few, aren't there?
There's I think like 130 photographs in this
Well,
show.
both exhibits then have quite a bit of browsing.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
I think it's sounding wonderful.
Okay, and
That's
we are,
true.
of course, in the Cube downtown, and we are open. We're closed on Monday, but we're open from like 10 to 5 most days, except for Friday. We're open a little bit later, till 8 o'clock.
Okay. Well, I think maybe some newcomers may be surprised that there were gangsters.
No, I don't think that's the only surprise, actually.
Oh, actually, not?
Well,
Tell us more.
Well, the thing is, I think many people who come from different parts of the country don't realize that Tampa's really at root a very southern town. The earliest photographs in the show are from about 1880s, but I think, to me, the one that stands out, the photograph that stands out, is a picture of two old men. They must be, I don't know, 90 years old or something, and they're shaking hands, but they're wearing their uniforms. One is a Confederate soldier and one is a Union soldier.
Oh, how interesting.
And what many people don't realize was that Florida was one of the very first states to join the Confederacy.
That's right.
I think the fourth state. So we have pictures, you know, of gathering of Confederate and Union veterans after the war. We have photos of from the Spanish-American War of the veterans.
Right.
But then we go into Tampa, as it was around 1880, and you would think it would be like Dodge City and Marshall Dillon kind of thing, you know, very, very rudimentary, but certainly very exciting. We call that a young, tough town.
It was.
It was very much a young, tough
That's right.
town.
I think the National Guard was called out in like 1948 to guarantee the election, that there would be no fix.
Well,
Thank you.
well,
Yes,
there is
right.
a history there. I mean, there is quite a history that goes on. It goes. Our show only goes up to 1955 in this case, but that's when we have we start with our Rogues Gallery, because at one time in the 20s and 30s, Tampa was known as Sin City, or the second Chicago, because there was a lot of gun running and booze and
Gambling.
also bolita, which is a form of gambling, very much of gambling. So the famous Charlie Wall murder
That's right.
is documented there, and Mr. Santo Tropicani. So we were quite colorful at that time. But I think one of my favorite ones is a section we call Wheels. And this is where we start with people coming in, covered wagons, ox cart, regular horse and buggies, and then there's one photograph downtown Tampa where you have something like a Model T Ford. It's parked next to a horse and buggy, and the horse is drinking from a fountain on the street. So you begin to see how things go.
Right.
And also the development of the cigar industry and of the Spanish executives who began the industry, and of the Latin social clubs. You know, the Centro Estudiano, the Centro Español, you know, and the Italian Club. Kind of.
Do you have any pictures of the lector on
Yes,
race?
we do.
You do.
There is a picture
How
of the
marvelous.
lector in Corral Wadisca. And also what is notable about that photograph in Corral Wadisca is that you would find the workers, men and women, blacks and whites. This is a scene that you would seldom have found anywhere else in the South,
Right.
which really makes Tampa, you know, a distinctive city in the sense of its cultural mix. We also have early photos of the Gasparilla Parade, of one of our pioneers, D.B. McKay, who married a lovely Spanish lady. So you have the Anglo and the Spanish mix, which sort of sets the scene for, you know, as Tampa grew its distinctive character.
And when they first came in, I remember one of the an author who was raised in Ybor City said that, I think it was Florida Avenue was a kind of the dividing line. You didn't, yes, they didn't go beyond it. But by the same token, they managed to, in assembling their entertainment, the Spanish artists who would come through, the pharmacy and the sort of the groceries that were available to the community. Really, they were self-sufficient and
They were
very
self-sufficient.
creative.
Well, they had their own hospitals.
Yeah,
in
that's
fact,
right.
the Centro Estudiano, no, the Centro Español had their
Español, yeah.
own hospital, which is on Bayshore Boulevard. It's now Academy of Holy Names.
Oh, right, that's
So
right.
It's been
I think
a really
that's very
nice show.
interesting. We were talking before the show opened about how people approach art museums as opposed to approaching photographs in museums. Now, you told me that there are really relatively few museums for photography, specifically
In the United
America.
States, there are
Yeah.
probably about a dozen museums that are devoted to photography. Now, large museums have photography departments,
Right.
but totally photographic museum. No, there is in Daytona Beach, the Southeast Museum of Photography. That is the only one, you know. Besides us, we are the Florida Museum of Photographic Arts.
Well, the atmosphere at openings and things like that, whether it was in the first site, which always reminded me of a large living room, because there was a couch there, but it was people who felt no hesitation at all to comment on what they saw, what they liked, what they didn't like, and there were very vigorous conversations about it, and I think you had a very interesting reason for that.
Well, we did. I mean,
Yeah.
we were small. We were starting out. We put curved walls and
Yes,
the side, which
yeah.
was really a lot of fun to hang shows on curved walls.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, but I think also just the fact that it's photography and people feel more comfortable with the medium because they take photographs themselves.
That's right.
So
And they
it's-
feel themselves
They feel empowered.
empowered.
Yes.
Exactly. That's right. That's quite true. Well, you went to Barranquilla, did you not?
Yes, I did.
What kind of a city? is
Actually,
it?
I am from Barranquilla.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh,
I was
how
born in
exciting.
Barranquilla
Uh-huh.
after the war,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've been here for many, many years, migrated in the 1960s. I came here with the Cuban Exodus after Castro.
Right.
I came to Miami
Uh-huh.
and did my high school there and then college here in Florida at Florida State.
Right.
So I am a native of Barranquilla. I know
Mhm.
the city very well. It is a large city. It is about the same size as Tampa. As I said before, it's hot. The climate there is very similar to Tampa, with the exception that we don't get any freezes down there or anything like that. And the winter is our winter, if you can call it a winter. It really isn't. It's just a lot of breezes, a lot of
Oh, how nice.
wind, and that's when the mayor and I and the others went to Barranquilla last year. We had a wonderful time, and we were shown the whole city. And there's a huge river, just as big as the Mississippi is wide, that ends in Barranquilla and then goes out to the Caribbean Sea. So the city grew around the river, much like New Orleans in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
We were talking about Gasparilla earlier. Barranquilla has the second most popular and biggest carnival in Latin America. The only exception is Rio de Janeiro.
Yes.
But it's a very big event. And in fact, over the years, Barranquilla has had beauty contests, international beauty contests for the carnival. And beautiful young ladies from Tampa were invited to participate in that. I believe Mayor Greco went and was invited at that time on one of those carnivals, and he was one of the judges. And he was there, and for that, there have been floats from Gasparilla that have gone down there to Carnival and participated in the parade, the huge parades they have down there. I will be going back to the Carnival next year, and I'm trying to invite several of my friends and fellow Sister City members to come with us.
Will you
to
have
Barranquilla.
the appropriate costume?
Oh, they will take care of us down there.
Is that
They have
right?
all kinds of costumes we can wear.
Well, you know, we once had in Tampa an author who is a traveler, and his book was called The Last Trout in Venice, for reasons that had nothing to do with trout. He would go, as a young man, he would go from city to city. He worked in an underwater hotel. He worked in a hotel, I suppose, up in Iceland or in the north of this hemisphere, which was, yes, it was the Ice Hotel. And he was also in Venice trying to make his way as a gondolier, which is where he flipped over and fell into the canal.
No.
And so that he was the last trout in Venice. But he also went to Rio, and he went to a school to learn how to samba.
Samba school.
Right, but on the day of the parade, he was rejected because he didn't have proper shoes. Everyone had to wear gold shoes. And so he was
what a
just
shame.
heartbroken.
What a
Someone
shame.
came up with a spray can of gold and said, "Hold your feet out," you know. And voila, he
So
had gold shoes.
he did make it. Oh, great.
He did make
Great
it.
story.
Yes, you have to have you have to be young for that. Number one, and number two, you just have to have let's let her rip kind of a mentality.
Right,
and
right.
it's vastly entertaining and very, very good.
Well, this carnival in Barranquilla is well known too.
Yeah, I'll bet.
In Brazil they have samba. In Barranquilla we have cumbia.
Oh, cumbia, yes.
Have you heard of cumbia?
Yes, I have. It's getting very popular
It's
here.
very popular.
Yeah.
And you'll see the same kinds of things. I guess they're not schools in Barranquilla, but from family to family, generation after generation. They participate in this, I guess, schools.
It is. It's sort of like the carnival in New Orleans, where they have crews.
Crews,
really.
like crew, exactly. That's the crews, and they do that in Barranquilla as well. And there's many of them, various types, and it's really a fun time to go to Barranquilla.
It sounds good.
This is going to be.
You know, you could do a whole trip and you get a lot of people to go just for this.
George mentioned it. You came with the Cuban Exodus.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to mention something interesting about Cuba in our show, was that not one but two Cuban revolutions were triggered in Tampa.
Yes, that's
Oh,
right.
that's right.
And we have photographs of Jose Marti.
Yes.
Okay, and they're taken from murals that are in a military museum outside Havana, and it shows him addressing the crowd, but also photographs we have of him in Ybor City.
In Ybor City.
Interesting.
Yes, but
That's marvelous.
and we have also a photograph of Marti's pistol and of the cigar knife that he used to roll a cigar with the message hidden inside
Message from
that would
Garcia.
trigger
Yes.
the
war.
the revolution.
Unfortunately, he was killed before anything
Exactly.
happened.
But then we also have pictures of Castro.
Fidel. Yeah, he
Invited to
came
Ybor City, and
that's
he's
right.
giving a talk, and there are piles of cash in front of him. 'cause
Oh,
he was
my.
He was raising
That's
money.
interesting.
He was
Yeah.
raising
He was raising money. Yeah.
Well, tell me a few of your most favorite photographs, so that when people go to see it,
Right.
they can be
All right,
directed.
I think my favorite was, first of all, is of the veterans of the Union and the Confederacy shaking hands,
Oh,
because
I
that
bet.
really
Yes.
sort of tells a story by itself.
Uh-huh.
But I think my second favorite one is a photograph taken to publicize the big cigar industry in Tampa, and we're talking about like the 1930s this time, and it's some beautiful young ladies in satin dresses and ball gowns, and they're all smoking cigars, these little delicate Uro cigars that are, and so that
Yes.
anyone can smoke a cigar
Right.
from Cigar
Oh,
City. So I think that's a favorite.
Right. Well, sometimes photographs can be tell you about things that are no longer apparent. There was some sort of a social club on Davis Island, which isn't there now, and wasn't there when we came in the '60s. But it was like a club, one of the clubs in town, and the women who were there were very well dressed, and it was half an advertisement and half a kind of a pride, like, look at this. And it just had that look to it. Eat your heart out. But it's very interesting that photographs can sort of almost give you a sense of something that it wasn't really the point of the photograph either.
Oh, I
you know,
see. I
something
see.
that maybe in the background, the woman within the leaves who suddenly.
Within the leaves in the
Well,
tree.
I think that would remind me of one other photograph, because there were some serious cigar worker strikes,
Oh,
and one
yes.
was in the 1920s. You have a picture of one of the, I think it was Centro Studiano, and the huge ball auditorium. Okay, and both the orchestra seats and the balcony seats are full. However, the women, they're segregated. The men are upstairs in the balcony, and the women.
That must be where the crew of what is it? The Gasparilla crew got the idea that
But whatever
only
it was,
the crew members danced and ate, and everyone else watched. That when we first came to Tampa, I was told, would you like to go to Gasparilla? I said, what is it like? He said, well, you can sit and watch us dance, and we can eat. I said, what do we do? He said, you sit and watch us dance and eat. I said, okay, well, probably not. As a matter of fact, we did. I worked for the Tampa Tribune at that time, and the dances were held in the Armory. And there were a big, long walk going this way, and walks going this way, and all the people who were attending Gasparilla, whether they were observers or not, would be coming in those. And our job that night was to approach couples who were dressed in finery and ask if we could take their pictures, and of course they said yes. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw an older couple who had stopped and were watching, and then they'd start to walk a little, and somebody else came up. Finally, they came, and I said, could we take your picture? And And the man turned to us, he said, "We got one, Ma." And I thought that was wonderful. Anyway, I think these 2 exhibits will be more than enough to have 2 marvelous days or evenings, and we definitely suggest you see them. And so everyone out there, you have an invitation. And I think it sounds like a lot of fun and very interesting. And we really are very, very delighted that you've joined us. And here's to having more people look at art.
Wonderful.
And thank you for being with us. Plan to join us again.
Change your life. Learn TV and internet video production skills at TBCN in Tampa. Become a skilled video producer quickly and inexpensively. Learn audio, editing, lighting, and camera basics. Produce multi-camera videos for TV, the internet, business, or pleasure.
Welcome to my live call-in show on Tampa Bay Community Network. You too can learn to produce and star in your own video programming, or you can have TBCN staff do it for you.
Call TBCN at 813-977-5200 today and change your life. Visit our website at tbcn.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn.